Welcome everybody to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today, I have a very, very fun guest. She is somebody we met online, and we just not hit it off. We had lots of good connections, lots of good communications, and she is a person who's so supportive, so motivating, so inspiring, and just a person who's so nice to kind of talk to. Now, this person is somebody who goes into something, likes it so much, and decides, you know what, I'm going to do it. And that's how she started her escape room business. That's how she started doing all these arcade games and stuff. And it's just amazing what she's able to do. And she is just one of those people who just take action. She's also part of a lot of game shows. She's a serial entrepreneur, and she has this immersive ice cream experience that I'm sure everybody would love to be able to experience themselves. She's an investor and also the queen of fun. So please welcome Amanda Contreras.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. How's it going?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited, and I see that your background represents games, so I'm very excited.
I thought it fit the theme and something that makes you probably feel a little more comfortable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And now I feel bad because I'm like, I didn't pick a background.
It's all good. So for people who don't know exactly what you do, tell us a bit about how you got to where you are today and what are you absolutely passionate about doing right now?
Okay, so I like to say I was raised in a 7-Eleven store because my mom and dad literally had 7-Eleven stores. So I've been counting money since I was 5. And I just liked the feeling of being able to have my own business, always loving to own something, never wanted to work for somebody. I tried to work for people. I actually tried to work for like 30 people and none of them really worked. I was always changing different things. I wanted to do things my way. I didn't like to be micromanaged. I just didn't like the way that they were running their company. I thought they could do things a lot better. So when I was working for my boyfriend who had an air conditioning company, we were growing that. And I thought, man, I really don't want to be the queen of air conditioning. I would like to be the queen of something for me. You know what I mean? And air conditioning really wasn't my thing. So one day I played an escape room because I wanted to go. I saw a post for my girlfriend that said, let's go get locked into a room. And I was like, I'm in, I don't know, I don't care, but I'm like totally into this. So my boyfriend and I went down and played in San Diego. Before we even left, I was already Googling escape rooms, what they were, how many companies there were, like what it took to start it. And then in 2 days, I had put a down payment on a location in Fullerton. I had no idea what my company name was. I had no idea what I was doing, but that's what I did. I literally put a down payment on. The landlord said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm locking people in rooms. He's like, okay, I don't know what that means, but just make sure your rent's paid on time. I was like, yes, I'm in. So a day later, from all the people that I was messaging, calling, talking, whatever, a lady called me from LA. She was part of a franchise. And I went up that afternoon to see her rooms. I signed the contract that night and then became a franchise in my escape rooms. Fast forward to the middle of the pandemic, 2020. I am no longer part of that franchise. I branched out on my own. So we are now Wild Goose Escape. So we're not a franchise. We have expanded to virtual reality arcades. We were actually looking at 2 locations. One of them opened up 2 weeks before the pandemic. So we closed that one. And while I was trying to figure out what to do with that location, because my landlord was that was the only landlord that was not being workable in the pandemic. We went for a drive. I was so bored in the house one day. I said, we just need to go out. I need to go out. I don't care what we do. So we ended up driving down the coast. And we live in Orange County, California. So we went south, and then the only people that were out in April were these ice cream stores. And I thought, well, let's just go to an ice cream store. So we had ice cream. And, me and my pad of paper, and we were having conversations. We were thinking about all these things that we wanted to do. So the next day we went and drove north all the way through LA and all that kind of stuff. And we came back down. So we figured out that we definitely needed to do ice cream, but to seal the deal, we had to find out what kind of ice cream we wanted to do. The next day, which would have been a Monday, we ordered every single flavor from every single ice cream shop, from every single not, I wouldn't say mom and pop, but like a niche, like anybody who had like 800 or more reviews on Google or something that was different. So we went to all those ice cream stores and we bought a scoop of ice cream of every single flavor. So my fridge or my freezer was full of these, these, what do they call, like the cold containers of ice cream, like the bags that they give you so they don't melt, full of ice cream. So we tasted so much ice cream. So much ice cream. And then we figured out that the one that we liked the best was a nitrogen-based ice cream, but it was nitrogen-based gelato. And so I thought, okay, we can do that. Now let's think of a theme. So we wanted to make it a very immersive, bring the fun, bring the escape room version, bring that element that other people don't have into an ice cream store. So that's now how we came up with Build a Scoop. We now have investors for Build a Scoop, and now we're building them across the United States.
That is totally awesome. Two things that I absolutely love: escape rooms and also ice cream.
I do just love ice cream.
So having tasted so many different flavors of ice cream, what would you say is your top three?
Okay, so the number one that I had was a like double chocolate. It wasn't even brownie, which I love chocolate, but it was a double chocolate something. It was so good and so creamy. It was like the best chocolate I've ever tasted. That was really good. Another one that I had was actually another chocolate flavor, but it had cinnamon in it, kind of like the Mexican abuelita chili, it's not chili, cinnamon, like that you make hot chocolate with. So it was mixed with that. That was a very good one. And I've had a really, really good either raspberry or mango sorbet. So those are probably the top three flavors. There's a lot of interesting flavors. I mean, a lot of people make like green tea and, the rose and all of those things, but they didn't hit me right. You know what I mean? And I'm willing to try any flavor because trust me, I tried a lot of flavors that I would never even pick before, but I still came down to chocolate is definitely my favorite.
Wow. What would you say was the most unique flavor you've ever tried?
Something with rosemary in it, because I personally don't care for rosemary. I like the smell. I like the bush. I like to have it in my house, but I don't like the flavor of rosemary. And the rosemary ice cream was very different. Very different. I mean, really different. But I tried it. I think it was like rosemary honey or something like that. Yeah.
Cool. No.
Very different. So we're making all of our own flavors, like completely original, very cool, like the best desserts put into ice cream flavors.
So having done all that you've done so far, would you say that your love in games and riddles have made you a more creative and efficient business person?
I think 100%. And there's so many reasons why. So when you go into owning an escape room, number one, my thought was because of where I actually played. We played in San Diego, and it was apparently 6 rooms. So we had no idea. I mean, we didn't even get into the second room barely by like 5 minutes. But when I got out of there, I thought, oh, I can build this room, like probably cost them like less than $5,000 to do this entire escape room. I have $5,000. Let's just build the escape room. Cause I thought it was like 99-cent store stuff. I mean, there was scratch and sniff stickers on the wall. I mean, it was really, really bad. So come to find out, it was a lot more than $5,000 to open up an escape room, let alone a good one. And the thing that you find out most is asking other people to use their knowledge as well to help you find what you need.
Yeah.
So because you can find it, you need a prop, right? Let's say an escape room, you need a prop, but it's not like you can just go to IKEA and buy a prop. It has to fit the element, it has to fit the theme, it has to fit the time frame, So when you're putting out all your feelers, some people that you would have never even thought in your life go to swap meets every weekend. You would have no idea. Or they know where to get things at auction, or they know where to buy things from movie sets. And it's like, I had no idea all this existed. Like, it was the coolest stuff. Yeah. So, you start by dealing with that. And then like all the tech side, I step away from. I cannot fathom and understand electrical currents to like hooking up wires. Like, it's just not for me. Like, that's one of the things I know that's my weakness. So it really helped me delegate what needed to be done and find out what my strengths were. And that way I was able to say, okay, I'm not great at everything, but I know I'm super good at 1, 2, and 3. So on 4 and 5, let me figure that out, you know? So that made me more aware of who I was and what my weaknesses were. But it also taught me a lot of things. So now that I know what my weaknesses were, when we first opened, I knew I wanted to be in marketing, but I didn't know what that meant, because it was, you know, believe it or not. So I don't know if you've ever seen the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days with Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. Okay, so he makes marketing look really glamorous, right? I mean, he's playing pool and he's like going to diamond shows. You know what I mean? Like, that's marketing. That's so cool. But when you get into it, you don't really understand like what comes into it, how to get your leads, how to set up your email list, how to set up your funnel, like what Facebook ads are. Yep. So in January of 2016, because we opened up in 2015, in January 2016, I went down a rabbit hole and I searched on YouTube anything I could possibly find about leads, email lists, autoresponders, funnels. And by the way, I can't make a funnel for the life of me. I tried. It takes well over 8 hours for me. And then I feel like a complete dingbat because I'm like, okay, I could have paid somebody to do this and worked on something else.
Right.
So, so one of my weaknesses. But anyways, I learned how to make something go viral, how to do this, how to, you know, create this. So then I opened up my spectrum into who different, you know, quote unquote gurus are in their separate field and following which one really made sense and which one was just selling a product, right. You know, because now you're into that. So that's something that I learned how to do. I'm not the best at it, but I did it enough to have a very successful business, and that enough for me while I was expanding was good until I, you know, was able to have the money to hire someone who is super good to be able to take it to the next level, which then the pandemic hit. So I didn't get a chance to do that. But you really understand how to do things that you do very well and how to delegate the things that take way too much time for you to do.
Now, you did mention the pandemic. How did you maneuver around it?
So we got the notice of March 17th. So we shut our doors March 17th, which was St. Patrick's Day. And that was our last day. We literally went from booming. I mean, I'm talking booming. We had 2 great locations and we were just booming to absolutely nothing shut down. So first part of the pandemic, I think it took me a day of shock. Like, this is not really happening, right? I will have nothing after this.
Yeah.
To freaking out for about, you know, half a minute going, okay. I mean, I really freaked out going, I have entertainment companies. What, like, they're not going to shut us down, to, okay, get it together. Let's figure out something. So I was constantly learning the first part of the pandemic. I mean, I was either on Millionaire Flicks or I was, you know, I was reading books, which is actually one of my favorite books, literally right here. Like, no joke. I've read this thing like 4 times.
Yeah. It
is amazing. And the little things that you pick up, you can use to strategize in different businesses. Like, you know, because I love negotiating. So that book, what for me was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I learned to just pivot, which I knew how to pivot, but how to think differently and outside of the box, like really outside the box. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm bored. I need to get out of the house. And that's when the ice cream took off. So note to self, if you get stressed out and you get bored, that's when things are right there to be birthed. Yeah.
So you started the ice cream business while all the escape rooms and stuff that had to close down.
Correct.
Wow.
So that was the idea. The idea came from that. And the reason it came was because, and full circle back to what I was saying before, which I forgot my ending to, was my landlord wasn't being nice, meaning he wasn't being workable, you know, money. Sorry, we're not giving you free rent. So what we did was we ended up negotiating out of our lease and negotiating into a different lease of a smaller space if he would allow me not to pay rent until January. So this now virtual reality company that was supposed to be in, you know, exhibit A is now in exhibit B, you know, and we just kind of changed everything, got out of our lease, moved into a new one, and at least guaranteed him a tenant for the next 3 years. and got me out of a lease that I had just signed a month before.
Wow.
So, you know, you win some, you lose some, and sometimes it's a strategic win, you know?
Yeah, no, that's very cool.
We're opening hopefully our first one by the end of March. And we have another location in Arizona that we're just waiting on a few details, and hopefully that'll open up maybe like a month after that.
Now, think back to your first escape room business. During that period of time, I remember very vividly in Edmonton where I'm at, there was one company, and then within 6 or 7 months, there's like 10 of them all over the city. So everybody was jumping in on this whole new fad, and everybody wants to create their rooms. And how did you differentiate yourself from all the other competition that's all of a sudden plunging into this new market?
So when we first opened up, we were number one in our city, as in like the very first one. There was another one, another escape room in a different city that had been going through permits and building and all of these things for about 3 or 4 months before we even got in the game, if you would say. We were able to open up before them, and then they opened up again. There was city issues that they were dealing with where we didn't have any. And then within a year, going from 2, there was about 9 or 10. And then a year later, there was 36.
Wow.
36 in Orange County. And that was outrageous.
Yeah.
And what I knew about my business is I love customer service. I love operations. I love running things. I'm a very good delegator, but I want it done my way. So that means I have to do it, fix it, change it, tweak it, and then I can give you the system, right? But I have to do it first. Like I can't just say, okay, from here on out, we're going to do our customers this way, and we're going to say this, and we're going to say that. We have to realize how they interact, what they say, what's the first thing they look at. And for me, it was very different because I did not whatsoever want to go into what my first experience was look at plain walls in an office building. So the very first thing I did was immersion. So from the time that you open up my door to the time that you leave, you are immersed into a specific something, right? So one of our rooms was like the Cold War bunker. So from the time that you walked in, we had a bright orange door because our franchise colors were orange. So we had a bright orange door. So number one, that told our customers, hey, we're here. This is where we're at. The second thing is when you open up the door, it was all like bunkered out. And I'm talking camouflage. I'm talking real razor blade wire. I mean, the entire place was just decked out, and I wanted people's reaction to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Wow, this is so cool. I'm not in an office, because what we were doing was building it big enough to be team building. And that's the second thing that we did to differentiate ourselves. Because when I do something, I can't just do one small, I have to do big. Like I need to make a statement, and everything that I do, if I'm not making a statement, I'm not doing it right. So we made a statement that says, hey, we can have this many people. We can't just have 6. We want this many people here. And so that allowed us to have like sheriff's departments, hospitals, Pepsi, Coke, I mean, like the Angels, all of these big companies to come in, because that's how we differentiated ourselves. And the last thing that we did to differentiate was not only expand, but in 2017, I had this great idea. I don't know where it came from, but it was this great idea that I was like, we should have a YouTube show. And, you know, some people thought I was crazy, and I thought, no, it's so great. I'm just going to do it. And some people had said, you know, well, no one's going to listen to us escape rooms. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. Like, I'll get it. So that day I emailed all 36 locations in Orange County. And I said, hi, I have a YouTube show called Find Your Escape. I would love to interview you as an owner, blah, 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 blah. And immediately I had like 9 responses going, interview, right? Because we wanted to uplift the industry. So what I did was I differentiated myself by putting me as the YouTube show that everyone wanted to be on, which was great. And then we started, you know, from Orange County, we went to New York and Vegas, and we went to Amsterdam. We did all these cool things. Some of them, right, like New York and Florida, we obviously had to do on Skype or Zoom, but we went to Amsterdam for an escape room show, but I took my receptionist with me, and then we went and played those games, and we interviewed them after we played the games. So we were able to do a lot of really cool things. That started, I think we did it for 2 years, and then in January of 2020 was the last show. And we took a break for a second just to kind of get, because I was expanding into Arizona. So we took a break for a second and the pandemic hit. So we stopped doing that show because I just really thought, okay, where am I going with this? What do I need to do? And with everything that I was watching, what's my end goal? What do I need to be doing? But there was also about 4 to 6 shows that started after me that were more about, how the games were made or what, and I wanted to have more of the story of who were you before you were an escape room owner and who are you now as an escape room owner? So what brought you into the business versus who you are now. And then I, had them promote all their games and pictures of their games. So that way they knew we were the ones promoting them, because if you're not promoting people in your business, you're tearing your business industry down.
Yeah.
And especially with a very brand new concept, and it's still brand new, but I mean, only 15% of the population, if that, even knows about escape rooms. And it was like 10% 2 years ago. So for people who don't know about escape rooms, they need to understand, number one, that they're not going to die, right? Because then you have the escape room movie come out. Is there fire? Am I going to get burned? Am I going to, am I going to be trapped? Am I going to be locked in? So you have to allow them to not be afraid. Then you have to allow them to understand that there are kids' rooms available, right? It's not just an adult thing. This is a family friendly. And that's something that we did very well, is that we are family friendly. So in our rooms, there's only 6 people allowed, but those 6 people are you and your party. We don't put you with strangers. So there are many different things that we did differently that set us above and beyond the rest. And then of course it's your staff, right? The way that you train them. So people had to realize that in order for their industry and people to understand who you were and raise up, then people have to start cooperating and promoting each other.
Yep.
So we have this really great lady who owns the escape room that actually opened up real close to mine. She held this group, and what we did was we just passed out our flyers to each other. So then, like, if there were 36 escape rooms, then I would have 36 different types of flyers that I could hold in my lobby at my location. Because if you don't promote each other, like once they do your room, you're done. But you can't just keep changing your room. Like each room costs $50,000, $60,000 to make. So, you can't just keep spending money like water. So you really have to keep those rooms for 2 years. Yeah. So then you allow them to, to go to other rooms and go to other places and experience who they like, what they don't like, what they do like. And then, they'll always come back to you because you're family friendly.
Wow. That's very, very smart. Because like lots of people go, why would I promote somebody else? Why would I interview why would I interview my competition? And you've basically laid it all out there saying, well, if you're the first to do it, you set yourself apart from all of them, and being that one expert or that brand that connected everybody for that industry, which is very, very smart and done very, very well. For yourself, is there still that excitement when you go into an escape room, or do you go in going, you know what, I know how that's done. Oh, I know how that's done. Oh, that's easy.
So that's actually a very mixed answer question, because you can go into some and they could be put together so poorly, but the idea is there. So they just didn't do it the right way. But some of them, you go in and you just want to appreciate the time, the effort, the creation, like what they did to put it there. And I have my favorite rooms. I mean, we went to a room not too long ago in San Francisco, and all of their rooms blew me away, like to the next level. But I didn't like the way that, let's say, they would give their hints, because what they would do is they would come into the room. And when you come into the room when your players are, you're taking away from their experience already. You're breaking up that we're alone feeling. Yeah. And then you just break it. It's like getting to the suspenseful part of the movie and then leaving the theater because you have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you come back and you're like, what did I miss? And then it just totally breaks everything up. Whereas if you were to have like speakers in your room like we do, and you give them hints inside the room, or you give them a fun thing to look at that involves the room play, it would be better. Mm. And so, so everybody has their flaws. Nobody's perfect. But every room that you go to is a surprise, just because you have no idea how their brain thinks or what they've even become. Like I have one in San Diego, and they did the coolest thing ever. They put fog with green laser lights. So when you're in the room, you only see your heads. So it was very cool to think like you're swimming in water, but you're not, like your head's just showing, you know what I mean? So it was just very interesting on how they did that. And that was something that I'd never seen before, which is absolutely fantastic. So you're always looking at new things that they're doing.
So when things open up again and you can travel all around the world, when you go to like Asian countries and South African countries, are you looking for escape rooms to test out?
You know what? I was the first couple of years, I really was, because that's how I, got my rapport, and that's how I started making friends with the owners. But in order to look at an escape room and then play, I don't even think my focus right now is, I wouldn't say my focus isn't fun, but my focus is now building. So it almost takes away from the time that I get to play the games. You know what I mean? Because you have to get there 15 minutes before, you have to get there 15 minutes after. So already an hour and a half is taken out of your day to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I were to be building my own rooms again, I would probably want to keep playing just to keep my brain up. Mm-hmm. But right now, I have good games. I have a great game, like builder, game maker. And so I'll leave all that to him. But in the meantime, I'll focus on building ice cream. Because the building part is fun. It's like, so for me, it's like when I bought my house. I bought it and it was like, okay, great. I'll give you the next one. Like, okay, yay, woo, let's celebrate. Okay, I'm done. So for me, it's finding the location, negotiating the lease, like getting what I want. And then as soon as I get what I want, then I'm already like 8 steps ahead and I'm already working on the next negotiation. I'm working on the next lease because it's like, I'm not satisfied. So I have to keep going. Mm-hmm. So that's probably weakness, strong point.
When you always have something else to pursue, well, that keeps your mind active, that keeps your energy high. So it's always good to have something to look forward to. So good on you for that. Now, for somebody who loves games so much, you also were on TV recently and was part of The Hustler. How was that experience? Like, how did you find that helping you, or how did you have an advantage being who you are in that game?
So I like to play a lot of it as, so my dad was a police officer. So he was always teaching us about, how to look at bad guys and how to look at good guys. It's just one of those things that's a household conversation, I guess, when you have a police officer as a dad. Yeah. And for me, it's body language. It's the way that they adjust themselves, the way that they talk. Are they open? And, are they sitting like this? You know what I mean? What are they doing? And so we learn a lot of that in business as well. And to be a business owner, a smart business owner and a smart negotiator, you learn and you look a lot at gestures, tics, facial, tweaks, or what are they doing or how do they react? And so for me, I just think my strategy going in was keep them guessing, so that whoever the hustler was has to keep me on to confuse it so they can point it on me at the end or use me as an ally. Mm-hmm. So that was my strategy and it worked. And it was a lot of fun. But I definitely think business has a lot to do because you learn to think different ways or maybe bring out what you originally thought as just more of a strong point.
So from a business angle, what would you say is the most important part about negotiations and also reading people?
It's funny. We were talking about 3 days ago, I was in a business. I was talking to them about like posturepedic chairs and like, things for at home. And someone's name came up and I said, well, he's a great negotiator. And they go, nah, he kind of bullied their way into where he is today. And I said, actually, you say bully, I say negotiate. They're just different tactics, right? So it depends on what you know and how you present your information to get you what you need. So negotiating for me, I think one of the strong points is knowing everything or at least more than the other person. Right? So always being prepared because you have to know more about the other person. And for me, it's very easy because a lot of times people don't look at me as like a strong businesswoman. They look at me like the girl with purple hair. Like I'm fun, I'm sweet, I'm nice, you know? So I have two different cards I can play, you know, like we learn that you have like 4 personalities, right? You have your work personality, you have your mom personality, you have your everyday personality, your family, you know, your friends, you kind of have different personalities that you use at different times. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you know how to use what you have, then I think that's a guaranteed win, because most people don't expect you to all of a sudden come out and like, you know, take a bite, you know, when in reality, you're just being the greatest negotiator ever.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So are you the type that likes to observe and collect data first, or come out and go, this is who I am, and then you kind of dictate how things go?
It depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the situation, because if I'm dealing with someone who which I've dealt with, either knows it all or is one of those people that, you know, they don't like to compromise. They really don't like, so you have to, when I say fluff them up, you know what I mean? Like you have to boost them up a little bit, like, oh my God, I didn't know that, you know, and you really have to give them confidence so you can get them to a relatable point. And then as soon as you get them to that relatable point where they like you, then you come in with the left hook and say, okay, so this is what you said, but I think this, and this, and then I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. So like my last lease negotiation, you know, we had come out and they said, oh man, they laid out the red carpet for you. They really did. You know, they gave you 3 months of free rent. They gave you 3 months, you know, you wouldn't have to do this and this. And I thought, oh, wow, that's really cool. They really did. So, you know, at the end of the hour when we were seeing the property, I said, okay, so we're going to go in with 6 months free rent. And then we're going to pay rent for 50% off the last 6 months. And the reason they're going to give it to us is because they need to refinance at the end of the year. So if we say we're going to take the half rent on the 6 months on the beginning of 2022, they're going to love it because we're looking out for them. You know what I mean? So it's just the way that you listen and the way that you position things. So we have like, we don't have to pay rent for 180 days. We get 6 months. We got everything. We don't have to pay full rent for 6 months in 2022. We have, we don't even have to pay full rent in 2021. I mean, it's awesome. You know, your TI money is great. You know, people need to learn about what, you know, tenant improvement money is. So we got a killer deal.
Awesome.
All because they laid out the red carpet for them.
Now, for somebody who's so successful in all the businesses that you run, you're a very successful property owner and investor as well. What would you say out of all the skill sets that you have is the most important skill set that anybody needs to have first? And then how would they actually come about achieving that type of skill set?
So the one that jumps out to me is be like a chameleon, right? You have to go with the flow of where the world is taking you. If you're not open to change, and if you're not open to figuring out what comes next, then you're going to die in business. I mean, you cannot just have a narrow path to say, this is the only place I'm going. You know, you have to say, okay, if this is the only place I'm going, how many pathways, you know, can I get there? Mm-hmm. So you really have to be open to saying, you know, like for instance, my virtual reality company, the first one we opened 2 weeks before COVID, we had to close it because the rent was ridiculous and they weren't working with us. Mm-hmm. So you have to play a different part to that landlord and call it whatever you want, but that's negotiation, right? The other landlord was willing to work with us and say, hey, look, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to cut you a check. You're going to in turn give us a check back, and that's your rent. So it's the way that, you know, you make those connections with your landlords, but some of them are different. So I say you have to be a chameleon. You have to fit the part of who you need to be at that moment to be able to get what you need done at that moment in time.
So as a mom, how do you teach that to your kids?
So both my kids want to own their own business. Both my kids one of my kids wants to be a property investor. The other one wants to own his own gym. But they've taken that in their sports as well. So they've learned a lot of strategic moves, like strategic thinking in sports. So I'm very thankful that it was sports that also showed them that, and that you can apply what they learned in sports to real life.
It sounds like your family looks at life like a big game. If it's not a big game, it's a big escape room.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is, because I mean, number one, in life, if you're not having fun, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not waking up every day going, okay, today's a brand new day, let's figure it out. Whether you wake up early, whether you wake up late, like today's a new day, let's figure it out. If you can't just say, let's figure it out all day long, every day, because that's what we do as business people, right?
Mm-hmm.
If something like, how many fires do we put out every day as business people? Because a lot of people, I think, look into, I want to own a business. I think it's going to be great. It's always great, as long as you're willing and, you know, to put in the hard work, and you're willing to understand that it's not just, I'm going to open up a business and then I'm going to go golfing, because that's not what owning a business is. You have to be down in the trenches. You know, you have to do things that you don't want to do. You have to be up until 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes you have to leave early. Like sometimes we leave from my house in Arizona at 4 o'clock in the morning because we have an appointment at 9 a.m. in California, you know, so it's just something that's different. And, you just really have to learn how to, like I said, be a chameleon. You just have to be the person that you need to be at that moment in time and change later.
Right. Now, your ice cream business soars. What's the next big thing? What's the next big exciting thing for you, whether it's personal or business-wise?
Well, let's see. So ice cream stores are going to be really huge. I think they're going to be really huge. You're going to see Build a Scoop in every great city tourist attraction. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I think working on that is super great for me. I just signed a contract yesterday for a 6-unit multiplex. So we're getting into, you know, buying multifamilies. And I think for me, I would love to spread this in a coaching course or in, you know, one-on-one, because I think there are so many things that people don't know, but I would love to help them get to what they need to know.
Cool. And I'm sure you're going to knock that out of the park too.
I hope so. Yeah.
There hasn't been anything you haven't knocked out of the park, so you're going to be well on your way.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So you have an opportunity to tell everybody in the world one main message. What message would that be?
Oh gosh. Live life doing what you love. If you are stuck at a job, get out. I mean, I had jobs, I hated them because I wanted to fit that mold of like, you know, you have to be the mom that goes to work at 8 and gets off at 5. And when I did those, I worked for a mortgage company, and I said, you know, hey, I know you hired me from 8 to 5, but I can't come in until 9. And then I have to leave today at 2. And they were like, wait, what? Oh yeah, I know you hired me, but these are the hours that I can work. And then, you know, I made everybody wear jeans on Friday because I'm not a suit person. I am a jeans and t-shirt person. So for me, what worked well was knowing who I am. And I think that was probably the main message, is know who you are, because I know who I am. You know, I know that building businesses is something that I crave. It's like in my blood. It's like something that I live and breathe every single day. I wouldn't be able to go and run like a mechanic shop because that's not fun and exciting for me. Like I would literally go to work going, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. But you bring me fun and you bring me something that I can share with other people and give them experiences, you know, that's something that I want. So know who you are as an entrepreneur and know what makes you happy and know what you're good at. Because if you can put what you're good at with what makes you happy, that's where you need to stay.
Very, very, very wise words. Now, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach out, and what's the best way to find your rooms?
So my escape rooms are wildgooseescapes.com. So escapes with an S. And then my virtual reality company is Utopia VRarcade.com. I almost forgot my website. UtopiaVRarcade.com. And then to email me, it would be Amanda@GameGirlProductions.com. And you can always reach me on social media. I'm the girl with purple hair.
Awesome. Now, before I let you go, I got 5 quick questions for you.
Okay.
Just give me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
If you were stuck in an escape room, which 3 fictional characters would you want to be stuck with?
Fictional. Okay, I don't know why. Fictional characters. Oh my God.
Now you have to balance, obviously, how are you going to win this game too, right? But
Yeah.
also have fun.
Right. Okay. So, you know what? I would want to say I'd want to be stuck with The Godfather. I
Okay.
mean, you never know what's going to happen along the way, right?
Okay. So that's one. I have three
Yep.
characters for you.
Tigger, because bouncy, 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 fun, 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 right?
Yep.
The wonderful thing about Tigger is he's the only one. And let's see, another fictional character. Gosh, I don't even know. And you know what? They're probably going to come out after this interview, and I'm gonna be like, oh, I should have said that. Oh, okay. So I don't even know. I don't even know the name of the character in Secondhand Lions. Did you see Secondhand Lions?
No.
It's with Robert Duvall.
Mhm.
And anyways, it's Robert Duvall's character. He is the uncle that tells his nephew these crazy stories and all these adventures that he's been on. But at the end of the movie, you find out that he really did go on all these adventures, and all the gold is underneath their barn. So
that sounds familiar.
Secondhand Lions is very. I want to say it's Haley Joel Osment's like one of his first films. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I would probably want someone like that.
Okay, so now you have those three characters in your dining room, and they're hungry. So what's your specialty? What do you serve them?
Well, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Dinner. Plus ice cream.
Oh, ice cream. Okay, so gosh, I would, I'd have to serve them some kind of chocolate. It would have to be some kind of chocolate with bananas and, I don't know, definitely chocolate syrup whipped cream. I mean, with sprinkles. You have to go for color.
Now, you have all four of these people, including yourself, stuck in a desert island, and you could only bring one board game to play for the remaining of your life. What would that board game be?
Monopoly.
Very well said. Hidden talent.
Salsa dancing.
Nice. And last question is, what is success like? I have three random items here. Pick one. 1, 2, or 3.
Okay, 1 is on that side.
This one?
Yep.
So how is success like shoulder pads?
How is success like shoulder pads? Success. Well, they're firm on the outside, but when you look on the inside, they're kind of squishy, right? So basically saying that you can stand tall, stand your presence, only until you get to know somebody can you let a little bit of your guard down and be that, flexible person. Mm-hmm. So I think business is definitely flexible, but stand your ground.
Very well said. Thank you very much. Well,
yeah, that was pretty fun. I did not expect that. I didn't expect that to come out of my mouth.
Well, thank you very much for your time and your stories, and obviously your experience and sharing all those great stories with us. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Great. And for everybody else, she is Amanda. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.
Bye.